These fragrances are on the chopping block. Hello, my name is Anya and I publish videos on this channel every single Wednesday. I love perfumes, I love fragrances, and that's what my content is all about. I also have a TikTok and Instagram on which I post every single day. So if you're interested, go follow me at anechkafragrances. These are some perfumes that just did not work for me, and I've been doing a lot of decluttering in my life. I've been going through a lot of changes, and fragrances are one of the items or one of the categories that I've really been focused on decluttering. And I've done a lot of experimentation, I've done a lot of blind buying, and this video is a result of that. First up is Opulent Red by Lattafa. This was a bit of a letdown. I was very excited about this fragrance. It has notes of white florals, blood orange, cardamom, and I was expecting this to be a fragrance that I would end up loving because there's Opulent Musk that's in the same packaging, but it's a white version that I really love from the brand, and I was expecting to really like this. I will tell you this, there's a lot going on in this perfume, and none of it comes together in any way that makes sense, in my opinion. It's a very abrasive fragrance, there's a lot going on, and I can only remember a handful of times I've actually worn this scent, and every single time I've worn it with another perfume, because this is just too much and yet also incomplete at the same time. I feel like this is missing something that will tie everything together, because it feels like a bunch of notes that are kind of like jumbled together, and there's no factor that's tying all these notes together in a way that is actually pleasurable for the nose. I feel like if this was like a smoother fragrance, I would enjoy it. And I have worn it with some other spicy vanillas that I feel like have balanced this out. But on its own, I just don't like it. And even paired with other fragrances, I kind of like it, but I don't love it. So this is definitely going on the chopping block. I truly don't think that this is good to have in my collection, because honestly, I don't love this fragrance. And though the bottle is absolutely gorgeous, this is definitely going on the chopping block. Another fragrance that was a major letdown is Swiss Arabian's Inara Oud. I was obsessed with the lychee note when I first started getting into perfumery, and I wanted a lychee fragrance that was similar to, or had a lychee note that was executed in a similar way to Delina or Delina Exclusive. And I just assumed that because this fragrance has lychee, it would give me that kind of like similarity. I didn't expect this to be a dupe, and I didn't want a dupe. I just wanted a sweet lychee fragrance with a bit of a tartness to it. Well, I bought this fragrance, and I can tell you it's a rose oud combination, maybe with a hint of lychee, but definitely nothing too prominent. The second letdown is this fragrance leaks profusely, and even as I'm holding this perfume, it is leaking. There is literally dripping fragrance from the sides, and it's just, my hands are covered in it, and I haven't even sprayed it. This perfume is an oud rose combination, and I already have so many oud rose perfumes in my collection that I actually think are superior to this bottle here. I like the scents better, I think they perform better, and they don't have this leaking issue, because I mean, there are droplets coming out of this perfume already. It's dripping, and like my hands are covered in it. And yeah, I just would not say I'd recommend this perfume. Maybe they have improved it in terms of the bottle design, I don't know. I definitely got this perfume a few years ago. I think it was like about over 2 years ago. But this is not going to stay in my collection for long, I will say that. Next up is a perfume a lot of people really seem to love. However, I just do not like this perfume enough to keep it in my collection. I'm referring to Banana Republic's Tobacco and Tonka Bean. This is a fragrance that people actually recommend to me, and I kind of don't want to say anything because I'm like, I have it and I really don't like it. And there's really nothing too offensive about this perfume. It's a tobacco and Tonka Bean combo, and it does smell good. However, I feel like this is a perfume I'd like a lot on other people, because for me, it doesn't do enough to justify wearing it, let alone keeping it in my collection. Let me explain. So the two prominent notes here, of course, are tobacco and Tonka Bean. When I bought this perfume, my expectation was that this tobacco would be this rich and dark scent paired with a beautiful vanillic Tonka Bean accord that would just be sensual and dark and just inviting, and this is kind of like a watered down version of that. To me, the tobacco is like this sickly sweet, but like also diluted tobacco, and then the tonka bean is not strong enough to accent the tobacco in a way that feels meaningful. I smell this fragrance and I would love this fragrance if it was more of like a darker, rich tobacco with an amped up vanilla. I feel like this would be a better fragrance in my opinion if that was the case. And this also doesn't last that long. So it's kind of an interesting, it's an interesting juxtaposition that might work for other people, but for me, it's not consistent with my taste. I prefer to incorporate fragrances in my collection that if they do have these rich and heady accords and notes, they need to have the projection and the presence to match with that. So if a fragrance smells watered down and it has those notes, it doesn't make sense to me and it's not to my taste. So this is just a fragrance that I've had in my collection, and I think I haven't worn this like at all because I have just so many other perfumes that I prefer a lot more, and this is just not a fragrance that I ever want to wear, so I'm not going to keep this one. I keep most of my fragrances in their original packaging when I store them in my collection. There are a few reasons for this. First, the packaging tends to be absolutely beautiful for a lot of brands, and I like to have that. But also, I think it's just safer for the fragrance to keep them in complete darkness. And if I keep them in their original boxes, I can kind of like stack them up on each other, and I don't have to worry about finding another storage solution for my fragrances, like a drawer or like a larger box just to keep them out of the sunlight. So when I have perfumes in my collection that have easy access, meaning it's easy to take them in and out of the boxes, it's easy to like put them away, I am more likely to use that perfume up more. And I wanted to share this fragrance in its box so you get an idea as to how difficult this fragrance is for me to actually get out and use, which is a big factor in why I am not going to be keeping this one. So this is Musk Salama by Lattafa. Again, you have this sleeve. I mean, the sleeve is quite nice. You have this main box here, and you open the box, and the fragrance is inside. Now, this is not my favorite way of storing a fragrance, especially because when you actually see the fragrance inside, and when you try to lift it, the cap comes off very easily. So there's really no way to take this fragrance out of the packaging other than to flip it upside down and have it fall out in your hand, and only then can you actually use the fragrance. But keep in mind, this, I mean, sometimes it stays on, sometimes it doesn't. This cap just comes off very easily, and I'm just not a fan of that. I also think the bottle's a bit funky. It's just really, it's not easy to use this one, and that's what really aggravates me, as you can probably tell. This perfume has that sweet, fruity musk quality that's present in a lot of Lattafa fragrances. And another reason why this is not a perfume I'm keeping is because I have a few fragrances in my collection already with a similar scent profile. Granted, this is a lighter musk perfume, at least compared to other Lattafa fragrances, and it has like this like light sugary quality to it that really resembles Skittles in my opinion, and it smells good and has beautiful sillage. However, as you can probably already tell, this is just not a fragrance that is easy for me to get out and use because it just takes so much work, and I don't like the bottle. The bottle looks so odd, and this is just not a fragrance that I want to keep in my collection because I have so many that I prefer. So yeah, while this smells lovely and the juice has like this beautiful like shimmery white quality to it, it's just not a fragrance that I like because the experience is just off. And for me, experience is a very important factor of actually using my fragrances because I want to enjoy them. These next perfumes are from dupe houses. When I was first getting into fragrance, I was buying a lot from dupe houses. I still buy from dupe houses a little bit, like very, very rarely compared to how much I was buying before. But when I was first getting into fragrances, I was buying a lot because it was a good way for me to get to know a lot of different scent profiles and really experience a lot of different fragrances without paying top dollar for them. And if you are first getting into perfume, I actually think it's good to buy from a few dupe houses so you get an idea as to what you might like, what you would prefer. There are some dupe houses that are far better than others, in my opinion. These dupe houses that I'm about to share with you, I have not had the best experience with. Maybe other people have had different experiences, but that's my opinion. So, starting off with this perfume that I bought from Mercari secondhand. I do not know why I bought this. Actually, I do know why, and I'll get into this, but this, quite frankly, looks like horrible. And word of warning, if the bottle looks subpar in the listing, it's probably going to look worse when you first, like when you get it. When you get it in your collection, it's going to look worse. And this looks like absolute crap. And I don't know why I paid for it. I don't know what I was thinking, but this is Dupe Fragrances Cherry Tobacco. Can you tell I was having a tobacco phase at one point? I was super interested in the tobacco note. I wanted tobacco fragrances, and I was like, cherry is a fragrance note that I really like, and tobacco, okay, yeah, let's buy it. And this does not smell bad. Like, this smells like okay. Is it the best cherry fragrance ever? No. It doesn't smell bad, but it just looks like it looks so cheap, and it just this is I think I've worn this like maybe once, and I just don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy the experience. It's just, let me show you the bottle. I don't know if you can tell, but it's literally flaking off. I just don't like it. I don't like it. I don't think it's a good experience for me to like wear this, and I have so many other fragrances that are cherry perfumes that I adore. This is just not a fragrance that makes me happy, simply because the bottle and the experience is so subpar. And also, there are far better cherry perfumes out there, in my opinion. And yeah, I just don't enjoy this bottle. And I will not be keeping it. Side note, I've also looked at the prices of a new Dupe fragrance. And considering how like cheap the packaging looks, I feel like they're overcharging. So I've purchased a lot of fragrances from Mercari. I don't do that anymore. But I've had good experiences and I've had bad experiences. These were some bad experiences. I was interested in this dupe house called Be Layered, and I decided to buy 2 partial bottles from a Mercari seller, and they didn't have the caps. And I messaged her, I was like, do you have the caps? And she's like, no, I don't. I'm selling these without the caps. I don't know why I still bought them, because they look so, it looks so bad. Like, I'm a little bit of like a particular person, as you can probably already tell, but why would I use a bottle when it doesn't have a cap? Like, what was I thinking? No, like, okay. So these 2 fragrances are Dolled Up and Dark Temptation. I believe Dark Temptation is an Oud Bouquet dupe, and I forget what Dolled Up is a dupe for. I think it's like a white floral fragrance with like maybe some soft spiciness to it. Regardless, I'll be honest, Be Layered is not one of my favorite dupe houses. I have one other perfume from them called First Kiss Exclusive, which is supposed to be a dupe for Delina Exclusive. It's not a dupe in my opinion, but it's a similar fragrance, and somehow like the way they've done that First Kiss Exclusive fragrance, I really like that perfume and I do enjoy wearing it. However, these are not my favorite perfumes by any stretch of the imagination. A few weeks ago, I tried wearing one of these. I actually tried wearing them both together, and while the scent was okay, the lasting power of these is absolute. It's just unacceptable. I'm sorry. I don't like these, and maybe it's like the experience of buying them. I bought like them secondhand and they weren't in the best condition. Maybe they were stored improperly, I don't know, but these are just not perfumes I'm keeping, and I will be disposing of them. They're just not worth it, in my opinion. Those are all the perfumes I'm decluttering. Oh boy, do I have a lot of regrets. I will say this. When it comes to buying perfumes, I have found it very worth it to be judicious about what you're buying. And most of these fragrances are from when I was first getting into perfumes. And I bought these perfumes and I blind bought them with the idea in my head that because they were affordable, I was going to save money by buying these perfumes. And I look at what I'm decluttering and I easily spent probably close to $150, $200 on these fragrances. And did I save money in that case? Not really. And that's why more recently, even though I do love my affordable fragrances, if I'm blind buying an affordable fragrance or blind buying any fragrance, I'm going to do my research on it. And if I'm buying a fragrance that I can get a sample or a decant from, I am going to get that sample and decant before purchasing the fragrance. And I think because of that, I have been able to get fragrances in my collection that I truly, truly love and quite enjoy. So thank you for watching till the end of this video. I have listed a few videos on the screen that I hope you will enjoy watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.